Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Neyssa with XPansive Taste, and today I'm going to be talking about the things that I didn't learn until I was about 21. I'm 25 now, so of course there's a whole lot more to learn. These are things that I didn't know were true about myself and things that had to be pointed out and questioned by others, especially when I worked at a certain job as a ballroom dance instructor. It required a certain kind of business mindset and this sort of growth mindset in order to be successful. So the people at that place, they really did challenge me to understand, why certain things weren't working out in my life. It was a place where brutal honesty was required and appreciated. So yeah, I definitely learned a lot about myself then, that I did start working there when I was about 21. And so the first thing I know that I did not realize was a problem is that I didn't know how to ask questions. I eventually understood that this is because of the way I grew up. I guess I grew up like as a smart kid in school, and I never really needed to ask questions because I just kind of understood everything. So I usually didn't have to study or ask for help. And so that ended up being a skill that was very important for things that are beyond just like, remembering facts and taking a test and passing the test. But because I didn't have that skill in me of just like knowing when to ask for help, knowing when to ask questions, it just made me kind of like fall behind. The way my mind was conditioned to work was that I would eventually learn something by just observing it. And so sometimes observing is just not enough. It's not a quick enough way to learn how to do something, especially if you want something like with results quickly, if you want that kind of critical thinking skill and know how to react in a certain way for each different situation. Learning through observations just isn't enough, especially when you can learn so much so fast when you just ask questions. I also just could not ask for help. I don't know where that exactly comes from, but somehow me asking for help, I associated that with like being weak, or just like, I don't know, I always wanted to be able to handle things on my own. And so like, even like, for example, when I was working at like a sandwich place, and like a rush of customers would come in, I would just be like trying to do everything all by myself. I'd take the orders, take the cash, I'd make the sandwich, ring up that, I'd take it to the next person. And then my coworker or the manager would come out of the back room and be like, whoa, why didn't you tell us people were here? Like, you need help. And I'm like, no, I got it, I can do it. And they're like, no, I'm gonna help you. Like, goodness. So that was like a huge flaw for me, just not knowing when to ask for help. Something else I also had to learn that is tied to developing like more confidence is knowing how to tell people that they're wrong. In general, I'm pretty non-confrontational and I don't like to start anything. I don't like to be in opposition of anything or anyone, really. And so I really had to break out of that and know like when it is necessary for me to just tell people that they're wrong, that they need to do something this way, or that they shouldn't be approaching me for this certain thing in this certain way. Or when people make certain assumptions about me or make certain judgments, I just had to be able to tell them, no, you're wrong. This is not what this is. This is not who I am. This is not what we're gonna do. This is why I do this certain thing in this certain way, and that's what works for me. For example, there was this time where my old boss, brought me into a meeting to pretty much complain about the way I'm wearing my hair. He was saying it's too childish and it's just not fitting the look for the industry. I did feel uncomfortable about that, and I walked out of the office, but then like a couple minutes later, I just walked back in. I was like, no, you're wrong about this. I wear my hair because of this, and this is how much time it takes for me to do this, and I think my hair is fine. And then he heard that and he just got like all defensive, like, oh no, I don't have a problem with your hair. Like, legit, you told me you had a problem with my hair. And now that I actually came back and spoke up and like, I don't know, defended myself, now you want to act like my hair was never a problem. And by my hair, I mean my natural curly black hair. And not too long ago, I was having this conversation with someone, and this person just kept mansplaining what I was trying to say in a way that was definitely not what I was saying. And I was like explaining myself, like, no, this is how I feel. And this was going back and forth, and eventually I was like, stop telling me how I feel, and then I walked away. So something like that is definitely something I wouldn't have been able to do before I was 21. So another thing that I was really bad at and didn't figure out how to do was defensive driving. I learned a little too late, like legit recently. I got my permit when I was 16, but then I didn't get my license until I was 20. And there was just so much time in between that period where I just wasn't practicing. Like, I'd be practicing 1 month and then not practicing. And I did not get consistent training. I did not get consistent practice. I was not able to be behind the wheels as often as I should have in order to be really ready for the road, especially by the time I was 20. Looking back, even when I would just be like in the passenger seat, I really would not pay attention to what's happening around me. I feel like I would have been so much better if I just like watched people drive and seen how they do things in certain ways and why they react in certain ways and when they do this and when they do that. And no one really like talked me through the whole driving process. And I'm sure if I was being talked through the driving processes and not just being told go straight, stop, this is your brakes, this is that, like these are your mirrors, like you need a lot more than that. Like you actually need to learn defensive driving. Like for example, it wasn't until I was like about 20 that, you know, I was driving with a friend and he just like gave me a little tip. He was like, oh, if the person in front of you has their brake lights on, then you should also push on your brakes a little bit because you don't know why they're slowing down. Even if the lighting is green, if their brake lights are on, then your brake light should also be on. So it's just like a way to ensure that you don't rear end someone even when you believe that they should just be going. Because they could be, their brake lights could be on because there's a little squirrel going across the street and they don't want to hit it. And you just got to respect that, okay? And even though I passed the road signs test, there were so many road signs that I just like didn't understand or know. Also, like I didn't have a habit of actually reading any signs. That's the thing, because nobody can actually like be there in my head and notice what I'm reading and what I'm not reading. That's just all on me. And so like I just did not think that I needed to be reading road signs like that, because I'm just paying attention to the basics, you know, the stop sign, the green light, all that, left turn only, right turn only, whatever, all those basic stuff, okay? But I really just did not know how to drive, and it was a problem, a big problem. I'm on car number 4 right now. I've been in so many accidents and little fender benders. One of them wasn't my fault. One accident that ended up in like a total loss wasn't my fault. I was rear-ended while I was at a red light, okay? Like I was legit stopped. The person just didn't slow down and just rammed into me. So losing that first car was not my fault. But I did lose car number 2 by driving into a pole, and I did lose car number 3 by driving into a flood. But car number 4, I'm protecting her with my heart, okay? I'm taking good care of her because I can't be living this kind of life anymore. I gotta be vigilant on these streets. Ask as many questions as you can. You'll learn a whole lot faster this way, and you won't make the same mistakes I made. Another thing I definitely didn't know how to do was to listen. And I mean truly listen when it was actually very important. And by listening, I don't just mean like hearing something and understanding it. I mean hearing something, hearing advice, having someone speak to you, and you actually following that direction. So especially around the time I was 21, I went through like a rebellious phase. And there were so many times where people would talk to me and give me certain advice in certain directions, and I just didn't want to listen and follow through because I just wanted to work through things my own way. I was so confident in myself, and I just wanted to learn the way I wanted to learn, and I did not let certain things get through my head. because I don't know, I was just in my own world and I was rebelling, okay? I feel like everybody kind of goes through a rebellious phase and it's kind of necessary. Mine just happened to happen at 21. And yeah, there's definitely a lot that I could have done better if I had followed other people's advice, and not just relied on my own understanding of things. And I could have, I wouldn't have lost as much as I did at that time. Something else it took me a while to learn was also how to see the bigger picture. For example, let's talk about saving money. When you're in your early 20s, sometimes the concept of saving money is just like so abstract because you don't really understand what you're saving for. Sometimes you don't have that long-term plan and you don't understand why you have to do certain things. But if you look at the bigger picture, it's better to have it than to not have it. So when I was 21, I definitely wasn't making like a whole lot of money, and I definitely was not saving the little money that I was making. But if I had prioritized like maybe getting a bigger check, then I would have been able to save. But even then, I needed to understand that the reason I'm saving money is because eventually I'm going to need it for something bigger, like maybe a car. Because like I wouldn't have been able to just like predict that I would ram my car into a pole and it would be a total loss. But if I had saved the money, I would have been able to buy a newer car way sooner. But there were no savings because I wasn't expecting to make such a loss. Also, when I was 21, I dropped out of college because I didn't feel connected to my major and I didn't understand how it would benefit my career path. And I also knew that I just wanted to become an artist, like a musical artist. I just wanted to make music. I just wanted to make music my career and be a successful singer-songwriter. And I really believed in myself. And for some reason, I just could not put in that last year of effort in order to complete my degree because I was just so stuck in the thought of like, why would I put any time and effort into this when I know I want this? I want to be a musician. And I didn't like the talk that I was getting about I should just finish my degree anyways, just to have like a backup plan and to have a job that can actually make money while I'm working on music on the side. And that to me was like blasphemy because I'm just like, why would I get a backup plan as if I don't believe in myself? Why would I have a backup plan when I know that if I work really, really hard, I can be a successful music artist? And backup plans, it's like planning to fail. I want to just go for that thing and make it work. And to sum up that whole experience, let me just say it was a struggle. It was really hard trying to kick off my music career. I'm still going at it, but I also did just decide to finish my degree. I'll be graduating soon, so that's pretty cool. But the bigger picture was that I could still pursue this music career, but I could also just finish my degree to get it done. And I could still work a job and be able to fund my career. Even though before I viewed having a 9 to 5 as like being limiting and restricting and it would just like take from my time, I find that having that 9 to 5 grants me the ability to have money and finances, and that alone is freedom. So because I do work a regular job that is actually related to my degree, I'm able to actually just have the peace of mind have the peace of mind around my regular lifestyle and know that I can continue going on like this, but I also have the time and I have the freedom to invest my free time into my music, which is still always going to be there. The last thing I want to mention is that I learned to let go of thoughts that didn't serve me. I actually get more into detail about this in a video that I have that's about how to detach from your trauma and start your healing journey. But overall, what I mean is that there are certain beliefs that you have about yourself that are really holding you back. And when you repeat them to yourself, it just, you aren't able to move forward. So for me, I just had this belief that I wasn't worthy and that my words didn't matter and what I wanted didn't matter. And so that really limited me in the things that I was able to do and the things that I was able to accomplish. It also really limited me in my relationships, and it just like brought me in some really uncomfortable situations where I just accepted the worst and it just wasn't really working out for me. So those thoughts really did end up hurting me and like killing my confidence and myself, my agency, and it really did not help me progress and believe that I could do better for myself. And in order to be successful, you really do need to have that self-confidence and a high self-esteem in order to believe in yourself and achieve something. So you really do have to figure out what lies you're telling yourself that are hurting you. And again, I talk a lot more about this in that video. So go ahead and watch that if you have the time. And that's all I have for you, beautiful people. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you making up to this point. That is all, beautiful people. Thank you so much. I send you my love. Mwah. Bisous.
A little bit of this, a little